Swimming like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Whedon, and welcome to the video wrap-up show of our episode today with special guest. I know he's in a different seat, Brad Berger from Cornerstone Financial Strategies and, importantly, Ideal Life 360. This was a very special episode because Brad, who has been kind of the main host, the guy for the last 4.5 years on the Shrimp Tank podcast, is transitioning out. We're going to find out why. Don't worry, I'm going to keep things going. It took me 4 people to replace Brad, but we'll have more information on that in the future. But for today, Brad Berger, this is all about you. How did it feel to be a guest today?
I think in the early days, each of us were guests
That's right.
on the show. But this was extra special. We had a couple of, I won't give it away, but some surprise drop-ins. Few people that individuals haven't seen in the past. So I would encourage them to either watch it on Facebook Live or to go to the website. Or listen to it and download the podcast. It was just a ton of fun.
Yes, it was. And that's a great plug for that. Yeah, you got to listen to the whole thing. You can do it in a couple of ways. Number one, you can subscribe to your favorite podcast platform, whether it be iTunes, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Pick your favorite. We are there. You also can go to our YouTube. It's Shrimp Tank Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. You'll get to watch that. And please, you'll want to watch this entire episode. But Brad, people may at this point be wondering, well, where's Brad going? Is he riding off into the sunset to his mansion on Lake Antioch? What the heck is going on, Brad Berger?
Well, as you well know, Dan, one of the things that we're excited about is just kind of the continued growth and impact that we're making with not only Cornerstone Financial Strategies, but also with Ideal Life 360. And it's just one of those things where, we run a lifestyle practice. We're very much about demonstrating the type of life that we want our clients to aspire to as well. And as we say, being a stressed out, over scheduled financial advisor is not the type, or life coach for that matter, is not the type of person you want to have in your corner. So, we all operate from what I refer to as the rule of 168. There's only 168 hours in the week. You've got to sleep some of those. You've got to exercise, take care of yourself, take care of your relationships, your family, and your business. And it's just one of those things where I knew that I had a very capable hands to turn it over to. So it made this easier to be able to say it's time to change things up a little bit of a format change. And, it was kind of like, wasn't it like Hannity and Colmy or somebody like that? And now it's just Hannity's. And now
you're going to say something like Abbott and Costello or something like that. Laurel and Hardy. Those are probably where we should go. But, one of the things we did have a chance to talk a little bit about, though, really was what you just mentioned. It's the state of the financial planning industry and talking about making sure that you're able to afford living a long, ideal life.
Yeah.
Can you share just briefly a couple of the points that you made during the podcast on not only the state of the financial planning industry, but how Cornerstone and Ideal Life 360 fit into that?
Yeah, you bet. So one of the things I think that, I would never want to say that I'm a trailblazer, because that would not be an appropriate characterization of kind of where we are. I think what we've done is we've taken a concept, or we've taken an idea, and we've executed it very, very well in our own style, very effectively for the benefit of our clients. And that is really two things. One is delivering truly comprehensive financial planning to our clients. That's the first thing. And then it's the integration of the life coaching for both businesses and individuals into that practice. And it's the melding of those two things and the integration of those that has really resonated with our clients and has created the growth that we're experiencing. And of course, um, uh, these things come about due to a wide variety of reasons. Number one, just an incredibly strong uh, client satisfaction that creates referrals to our practice, our firm, which is incredibly important. But also, I always chuckle because whenever the mainstream financial services industry is trying to get into that game and they're advertising that that's what they do, and I have to tell you, it's not what they do. It's what they'd love to do, but it's not what they really do.
Yeah.
Um, we know we're on to something because we're actually small enough and nimble enough to be able to react and to be able to deliver that. But we're large enough to be able to handle just about anything that any client has. And I think that there's a this segment of our client population that really appreciates the clarity that comes in from not only taking somebody through our process, but that ultimately gets them up to a place where they can free physical and mental space and time so that they have the ability to focus on things that are more important than money. That really key characteristic of bringing in the life planning and the life coaching into that overall process is something they value.
Well, that's great. And again, we talked a little bit more about it on the podcast, and you're coming back as a future guest, so
Yes,
we'll talk more about that. Two final thoughts. Number one, I'd
because you
be
promised
remiss.
to ask me about my pants. So
Yeah,
so
learn. You want to learn about Brad's pants? Listen.
you
Oh
got you
boy,
gotta you gotta listen to the podcast.
you
You
gotta
have no
listen.
idea what we're talking about.
And the other reason to listen is I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my sincere thanks to the co-producers that I had all
Absolutely.
these years, Sue Pickles and Tiara Spragan. Many thanks. They're not here with us on here, but we did introduce them on the podcast. Many thanks to Sue and to Tiara. Now, Brad, I want to go out in one last important question. 4+ years, 100+ episodes. I know that it's overwhelming if I say, do you have a moment? But can you just share maybe a thought, a comment, a moment, something about your time at the podcast?
Well, again, we had a lot of memorable guests. I want to say, here's a plug. Some of our most memorable guests that we had brought props, right? Whether it was cupcakes or saws or guitars or whatever it was that they brought, those are very memorable. But here's the common thread that I think is so inspiring, and what really kept me going all these years with regard to that. It's just the awe, right? You and I are both entrepreneurs. It's people taking the leap from
Yeah.
corporate America into entrepreneurship, or just being raised, in an entrepreneurial environment, and making that leap, and just the dogged determination that they have, and the belief that they have in themselves, and the support structure that they have around them is just it's inspiring, and it's uplifting. So I'm hoping that as people have listened to and followed us throughout the years, and will continue to listen to you and your new co-hosts as you go forward, that those stories continue, and that people see just the positive elements of kind of being the captain of your own destiny, which I really think is the power of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I think there's no doubt you'd agree with me that small business is really the engine that
It
powers this country.
absolutely
That
is.
powers this
Yeah,
country. It's who employs most of the people, and it's that whole ingenuity and innovation and resilience. So
yeah.
listen, Brad, somebody out there might be watching and saying, you know what, I'd like to learn a little bit more about this ideal life stuff and what Brad and Cornerstone are doing. How do they reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is at ideallife360.com, and it's just ideallife360.com. My email is very simple. It's brad at ideallife360.com. I would invite people to go check out the website. It gives that's the tools and coaching element of what we do, but it certainly can bring us back. And if people are interested in that, my certification as a master integrative life coach with a specialty in career and finance. There's a lot of discussion of that on the website as well, but also elements with regard to our outlook with regard to longevity. So it's a great place to gather a lot of information and see what we have to offer.
Sounds great. Well, Brad, thank you for 4+ years, 100 episodes. It's been my honor to be sitting next to you both physically and virtually all this time. And I'm looking forward. Obviously, we continue on as friends and colleagues, and I'll see you around. But thank you for all that you've given to the podcast. It's because of you that we're even in Seattle. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody else, listen, you got to subscribe. I told you where to do it. Go to your favorite platform. We're on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Just go find us. We'll be there. Our next episode, and let me just tell you real briefly, we're going to a weekly. And we're moving our time live streaming on our Facebook page, noon Pacific, every Wednesday, noon Pacific, starting next week. And next week, I am going to introduce the 4 new co-hosts I have. Algernon Sperber is going to be doing weeks 1. James Alberson is taking the 2nd week of the month. Phil Simchich is taking the 3rd, and Michelle Baumberger is hitting cleanup on weeks 4. But next week, we'll have all of them together. So please come and watch. Until then, listen, everybody, be out there, be healthy, be happy, be well, but above all, be unleashed. And for today, the hay is in the barn.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond, and a shrimp tank.